I will begin by quickly explaining the title of my story. Something very strange happened to me when I was living in the city in New Hampshire. I live in a 3-bedroom apartment with my 9-year-old daughter and my fiance, which is her father. The title to this is I Wish I Had the Answers because I cannot explain what happened to me one night. I think about it almost every day, and so does my fiance. I've always been very interested in the paranormal, but always wondered if it was actually real. After this happened to me, I definitely believe that there is something out there beyond explanation. Anyway, my fiance and I and my daughter were sleeping in our bedroom. My daughter had passed out with us when we were watching a movie. I woke up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom. While I was in the bathroom, I heard a big crash. I thought to myself that it was just the fan that had fallen over. We always have a box fan running when we are asleep. It just helps us sleep. So walking back to the bedroom, I expected to see the fan toppled over. I looked. The fan was still up and running. Looking for what had made the noise, I turned my head to the right and saw that my TV was pulled off the wall and up against my bed. My heart immediately sank down into my stomach. Now let me explain. I had a big old clunky TV, not a flat screen. The TV sat upon a large end table that was real wood, so it was pretty heavy, and had 3 drawers in the bottom of it. The whole unit together probably weighed about 150 pounds. In other words, there was no way that this thing could have slipped off the wall towards my bed. There was no decline in the floor. There was no earthquake. I didn't know what to make of it. So I shook my fiance until he woke up, and I said, "Oh my God, babe, look at the TV." He merely got up out of bed and couldn't believe what he was seeing. I turned on the light and went and saw that the cords were stretched out to the max. My fiance went all through the apartment and looked and searched and thought somebody was in our house. There was no one. After being extremely freaked out, we all went back to bed. I laid awake and stared at the TV after we pushed it back. The next day I'd noticed that when everything fell the night before, it was a clock that was on top of the TV that had fallen on the floor. When it fell, it lost its batteries, so I know exactly what time the TV had moved. It was 1:18 a.m. I forgot to mention that also, the night before, I had posted on Facebook, but it had happened and I had taken a picture. Now, if this weren't weird enough, it gets weirder. The next night, my fiance and I were lying in bed. We both had kind of woken up. Still out of it, he asked me to hand him a cigarette. I reached over to the side of me and grabbed the cigarettes and handed it to him, still squinting, half in and out of sleep. My fiance said, "Is that TV?" And before he finished his sentence, I had grabbed his arm in ultimate fear with one hand, and my other hand grabbed the blankets and pulled them up to where my eyes were only peeking out. The fuck? TV was pulled up against the bed again. Both of us freaked the F out. We could not believe what we were seeing. I was so scared I contacted a friend on Facebook that studies the paranormal, and he had me go through each room and perform a blessing. Mind you, the time this happened was exactly 1:18 a.m., which is even more freaky. Nothing like this has ever happened to us before, and it hasn't happened again. My fiance and I always bring up the subject. We always talk about it. And we ask each other what the hell made that TV move. There was question that maybe something was attached to the clock that I had sitting above the TV, because it was found in the trash in an alleyway that my fiance's uncle brought into the house, and it was working fine. And it also had a picture of Jesus holding his hand up against the door on the clock. Also, we have noticed that there was a picture of my fiance's friend that had passed away years ago that was underneath the TV. But for some reason, I really don't think it was either of those. I don't know why. I just don't think it was. We were so freaked out. I called paranormal investigators since we ended up moving so quickly. I never had them come. A couple years later, my fiance ran into the guy that I called and told him the story again. And he said he remembered us calling. He also had said that it was weird that year. He had a lot of calls about TVs moving. One guy had called him and said his TV was in the middle of the living room upside down. I really wanted to use the Ouija board and ask why that happened, but I'm too scared to use it, especially after this happening, and I am too scared to use it. I guess it will just be a story that I can tell, but I will just never have answers to. I mean, what natural causes could have made it move? If anyone is interested, I will post pictures that I took that night. I just wish I would have taken more pictures of it, but I guess I was just so scared I wasn't thinking about it. I almost wish I never did the blessing, just to see what may have happened next. But that's why I did the blessing, because I was scared of what could have happened next, because you never know. It was the most amazing thing I have ever seen in my life, besides my children born. In a few ways, it changed my life. I definitely don't take anything for granted anymore, and I definitely have more respect for whatever it is out there that we can't see or explain.